Okay guys, this is my Moonlight on the City Shawl. I am not done it yet, but I wanted to show you how I made this color change. It doesn't actually call for a color change, but I ran out of yarn, so I had to make a color change. And I didn't like the way, when I first started doing it, when you peek through these little windows, I'll see if I can get it close. You can see how this window is purple and this window is this bluish, greenish, teal color. And I didn't like how originally when you peeked through here, it was a mixture of purple and teal. You could see both colors. So what I did, and I kind of played around with my own version, plus I looked at the way the East London Crochet Group does theirs, and I made this extra stitch so that instead of the green going in here, where you would normally be crocheting, I use my purple and I bring it up. It's a little bit complicated, and if you don't want to do it for your color changes, that's fine. But if you are like me and that was bugging you, that's what we're going to show. I'm going to show you how I did it. So this is here, I'm starting with changing again because I ran out of teal. Super professional, right? Just running out of colors, just using up the stuff I got. This is essentially these little bumps. That's what you're creating. I don't do it like this. I just wanted you to see the deconstructed version. These are the little bumps. So instead of my blue going in each stitch, I'm going above the stitch. That way, when you look on this side, you can only see the green. So that's what it looks like if you take it apart. And then on the other side, because it's not a true color change, my little tail can stay on the back for now. I'll weave that in later, make it secure. So because some of my stitches are on the front and some of them are on the back, whenever I did this, this is the right side of my work where it's mostly black. So on this side, the colors are just going to switch. It's just going right in there. It's just going to be an abrupt change. But when you look through the window, you can only see that teal color because I brought it up. So now I'm going to actually show you what I did. So you see here, I did start this row. If you're curious, it happens to be row 65 in the Moonlight on the City Shawl, which is using my accent color, which is the colors, not the black. And I got a lot farther than this and realized I don't have enough. So I frogged it a bit because I want to have enough of this to get that extra bump. And I didn't really want this star to be half of each color. So that's why I went this far and then decided to change colors. I didn't want my building to have, like one wall blue and one wall. I wanted the building to change here, but I wanted my star to stay. So that's the only reason I decided this spot. But if you wanted to, you could start at the beginning of the row, or I don't know. It doesn't really matter to me. It's your project. So I am now at the part where I want to show you, first of all, how I joined. Okay. So I've been going along. This one has 16 in the front. I did my 1 in the back to get that star. And then it has 3 stitches in the front, which is a perfect time for me to change my colors. So I did 1 stitch, and instead of doing a chain space and the next stitch like this, so this is, I want to make sure I get the proper anatomy. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over, and normally to do a double crochet we'd pull it through 2, then yarn over and pull it through 2. That gets us our double crochet. I want to change my colors, so I'm actually going to change my colors back here. I finished this stitch. Normally when I'm doing my crochet, my like Afghans, a single crochet one, in order to make the colors nice, you don't finish your stitch. And this is where you would add your other color. I don't know, maybe you're not familiar with doing Afghans, but that's usually where you would add. You finish your stitch like this, because then your whole stitch looks completed, and you just start on with the next. And that would be fine. I also, because of this stitch is not just a bunch of double crochets, there's that chain space. I'm going to finish this stitch. Then I'm going to pull this one through as a chain space. But because I can pull this quite tight and it kind of makes that chain disappear, I'm just going to make it look like the blue is my chain space. So it technically adds a stitch here, but because I'm pulling it tight, you can't tell. And then I will weave these in so that they're secure. So that's my chain space. And now I'm going to make sure that this blue one, I don't know what color to call this, teal, I suppose. Yarn over. And I'm going to hold this yarn kind of on top of the row. I'm going to go in here just like normal, but now I'm going to pick up yarn over the teal color, bringing the teal up. And I'm going to pick up the teal and make that extra little bump. When I tighten it, that bump's going to kind of disappear. So it's just it's an extra stitch. Yarn over with the blue now and pretend like you're finishing your double crochet. So go through 2, needs my fingers to hold the yarn back, yarn over, go through 2. You have to pull on this little teal one every single time to keep it down because you don't have tension on it if you let go, right? Chain space, yarn over, go into the stitch that we're normally doing, but grab the teal. Pull the teal up and make one little stitch with the teal, then grab the blue, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. So this allows me to have a stitch that is about the same height as all these other ones, but when you look through this window, you only are going to see this green part and you won't see where the blue is mixing into it. And on, of course, the side that we're looking at right now, the wrong side, it'll just smush up against each other, right? So that is how it's going to look. If I'm working on the wrong side, I change my color so that the right side, I don't want to see it through those windows. So that's my 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do chain. My next stitch is one in the back, which is actually onto the right side of our project. It's connecting with the city wall. So this time, when I yarn over and I go into the window to do my back stitch, make sure this one is in there. Grab your little loop. And I'm just sort of doing my double crochet over top of the string. So now the string is just being carried along with us. On the front here, we don't need to do that funny stitch because either way it's a dramatic change. It's just going from teal to blue. So it's going to be a dramatic change regardless of whether we put it in and do half a stitch with blue or half a stitch with teal. So we might as well just make it the easy stitch. That's how I came up with that decision. And my pattern asks me to do, where am I? I like to put a stitch marker. So this is how the paper is written out, as it's in chunks, right? So at the end of this, at 3 front, that's where I put my stitch marker. That way, when I'm going to count my rows, I know that this is the start of the next line. The next line says 2 in the back. So I did 1 stitch, yarn over. So go through that window. And instead of grabbing this, I'm going to make sure that this one's in there as well. And then I'm still going to go into the hole just like normal. Yarn over and do a normal double crochet. And then back to a front stitch, which is on the wrong side of our work. So we're trying to hide it, right? So we yarn over. Did I do my stitch? Yes, I did do my chain space. So yarn over, go in, but then grab that teal color and do an extra little ditty with the teal before you do a double crochet with the blue. That is how I'm doing my color changes. Now I'm doing another one in the back for this row. so that it's locked in there. And then 21 in the front. And I do actually find these stitches annoying to do. They're definitely more work than a regular non-color changing stitch. But I really like the way it's basically a neater way to hide your color change. And I don't know if there's an official terminology for what I'm doing. Mostly it was me playing around, but of course I did also get some inspiration from that East London crochet group tutorial that Kate Dudman put on her Facebook group, which is Interlocking Crochet World. I can put a link in the comments if you want to go check it out. She shares all sorts of interlocking crochet patterns and designers and pictures that she finds on Instagram, and always is fun to look at. So besides having tutorials as well. So that is how I'm going to do my whole row. And then at the end of the row, I will cut away this teal color and just continue on with using only the blue. All right, guys, I wanted to show you the comparison. This is the regular stitch change. You can see if your thing is moving, you probably can't really tell, to be true. This is what it looks like in the back. This is the part where I did my funny change. It's actually the second row of it, so it's a little bit thicker, but you can see instead of the blue coming into the teal, it just hits the top of it. This one goes right into the blue, so you have all these little spikes. And on this side, when you're looking through the window, one is teal, one is blue. There's no mix. Whereas this one has teal mix, and then this one will be a blue square. So it's not a super big deal, especially depending on some patterns you won't even notice. This is just because it's such a short chunk here, because I wanted that little star to stay that color, I let it be spiky, I suppose. But the different looks, they are different, but they don't matter too much. That's the point of my story. That is the point of my story today. So there's the difference there. Pretty similar, but they are slightly different. So if it matters, you just need to do that little extra at the top.